Hi, I'm Kelly Chase and this is History Detective, and today I want to introduce you to the man on the $100 note. A man who has a hospital, a university and a freeway named after him, General John Monash. Now, John Monash is known for many things, but he is perhaps the most famous for his role in World War I. He led a brigade at Gallipoli and was the only Australian brigade commander from the original troops who was not killed or evacuated. He is also remembered for his brilliant command of the Australian Army Corps in France. And when he returned from war, he was one of the organisers of this tradition we now know as Anzac Day. Monash was almost 50 by the time that World War I started, so there was a whole lot more to his life than just the part that he played in the Great War. For starters, he was an incredibly intelligent and brilliant scholar. The man had more university degrees than you can poke a stick at. He started with a Bachelor of Arts, then a Master's in Science, Civil Engineering, but he didn't stop there. He also became a Doctor of Law from both Melbourne and Cambridge universities, a Doctor of Engineering and a Doctor of Civil Law. Then he lectured at the University of Melbourne before becoming the Vice-Chancellor. He was quoted of saying about education, "Equip yourself for life, not solely for your own benefit, but for the benefit of the whole community." But he was not just an academic. He became one of Australia's leading experts in reinforced concrete for bridges, railways and other large concrete projects. Oh, and I don't think I even mentioned that he was knighted. Even with all of those degrees, expertise and war accolades, he still had time to volunteer in the community, and his favourite organisation was the Boy Scouts. John Monash was born in West Melbourne in 1865. His Polish parents were of Jewish faith, and he remained a practising Jew for his entire life. In 1874, when he was 9, his parents moved to Jerilderie to manage the general store. If you are thinking the name Jerilderie sounds familiar, it's because the infamous bushranger Ned Kelly held up the Bank of Jerilderie in 1879. But don't worry, Monash had moved back to Melbourne by then. Monash went to the local Jerilderie school, and the schoolmaster recognised his brilliance and insisted to his parents that he went to Melbourne to complete his education. He moved back with his mum to Melbourne and went to Scotch College. It was from Scotch College that he graduated at the age of 16 and became the Dux of the school. The Boy Scouts did not begin in Australia until 1908, and Monash was involved in the organisation from fairly early on. In 1911, he agreed to be the chairman of the Victorian Boy Scouts movement and ended up becoming the vice president of the Imperial Boy Scouts. Monash was an army enthusiast, and by this stage, he was part of the University Company's battalion of the Victorian Rifles and quickly rose to become sergeant. He saw the Boy Scouts as preliminary training for boys to join the military, and even after he returned from World War I, he continued to work with the organisation. At a ball that commemorated the first ever Metropolitan Troop of the Victorian Boy Scouts, Monash not only attended the ball, but took on the role of ushering guests to their seats. Remember that he was a famous knighted war hero by this stage. A few years later, in 1923, he became the official head of the first Barwon Troop of Boy Scouts and was elected the vice president of the Australia Association of Boy Scouts. In 1924, when giving a speech to a group of Boy Scouts, he reiterated the connection between being a Boy Scout and being in the military. He said, "An analysis of the Australian Expeditionary Force showed clearly that very many of the best officers were recruited from Scout ranks, and that on any difficult undertaking requiring skill and initiative, preference was always given to the man with the Scout training." In 1926, he again made a speech that echoed his sentiments from 2 years earlier. He stated that during the Great War, when a volunteer was required for hazardous or responsible work, one of the first questions asked of the volunteers was whether he had any Scout training. He continued to be involved in the Scouts for the rest of his life, attending events and even handing out trophies at the Scouts boxing and wrestling championships in Victoria. General Sir John Monash died of coronary vascular disease or heart disease in 1931, but after his passing there was a Jewish Boy Scouts troop and the female Brownies equivalent called the Monash Troop. In 1939, just at the onset of World War II, when Hitler was persecuting people in Germany and Poland just for being Jewish, one of the Monash troops was noted in the newspaper for recruiting 3 refugees, presumably Jewish refugees from Germany or Poland. I'm not sure if the Monash troops still exist, but if they do, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and in the description below you'll find a link to my website where you'll find a list of references and links to teaching resources. And I have just released my new book. It's called History, Her Story, Our Story, and you can find a link to that in the description below too. This is Kelly Chase. On the case. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this video is being recorded today. I pay my respects to the elders and knowledge holders past, present and emerging.